Okay, Cameron Crowe and Dave Wuerth here. We are rolling, and this is the second parent interview of Coal Valley Speaks. So, congrats, Dave. You're brave.
Thank you.
You're a trendsetter.
Yeah,
You and Fred, trendsetters.
yeah, that's a pair.
Yeah. Okay, so if this is your first video, I'm going to give you some quick context so you know what we're talking about. So I'm sharing my screen, and what we have here, oops, do it like that. What we have here is my blog post from about a month ago where I felt like I had a realization, over the last year that if there was anything that I had really strong feelings about, I should blog about it because there's probably somebody out there that it'll mean something to. And it's generally better to share your ideas than to keep them inside of you. So this is one of the first things that kind of came to mind is like, wow, I have super strong feelings about Coal Valley looking back, and they are mostly negative now. When I left, they were very positive. I loved it there. And then kind of as I grew up and learned more and met more people, those memories started looking differently. And now reflecting on them, I think about them as pretty harmful. And so I wanted to tell that point of view because as far as I could tell, that's not something that people talk about openly, though I knew some people felt that way. And I wrote this and it exploded instantly. My phone was blowing up nonstop for about 2 weeks, and dozens of people messaged me and said, "Oh my God, thank you for saying that. Me too. Here's my story." And I was just blown away. I thought maybe I'd get a couple of those messages, but no, like dozens. So I was like, I can't be the only person that these people can talk to. So I made a support group on Facebook so that all these people can talk to each other and support each other. And it grew from there. And now there is a website called coalvalleyspeaks.com where we're kind of keeping all of the public content that about this movement and this support group. It's because it's much bigger than me now. And we are trying to work with Coal Valley and have offered, this was 3 weeks ago, to meet with them and talk about what some of our ideas are and how we can work together on making Coal Valley a safe place for any student to learn and grow up. They have not taken us up on it. The first meeting is actually tonight. It's an unofficial meeting. It's a few kind of Coal Valley individuals, but as far as I can tell, it's like on an individual basis, not representing Coal Valley. But that, I will share more information about that later, about kind of how that goes. But the most interesting thing I need to bring up is that this week we published our joint statement. So this was something that dozens of us in the support group were working on drafting for weeks. The editors of this statement spent 50 hours on it alone. So this is easily, I think, 100-hour document here, and it's very long, 45 minutes. So, but this kind of outlines the stories, the themes, and our proposed solutions. So this is what this sort of thing we want to talk to Coal Valley about. And that is my introduction. So, Dave, what did you saw this stuff, and what did you think? Like you messaged me pretty early on, but what was going through your head?
Well, yeah, I right early when you first published your first piece, I was drawn to it immediately.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great idea that you were willing to do this and to offer a space where other people could tell their stories. I thought that was marvelous.
Thank you.
So for anyone who watches this who doesn't know who I am.
Yeah, let's do some background.
Yeah, my son went to Coal Valley K through 12, and I worked there when you're in the same grade, when you guys went into 7th grade And I worked there, I think, 7 years, and then I was fired from Coal Valley. And I have often said that I loved the job because of the kids. I hated the job because of the adults. It was I took the job only to be able to work with the kids. I felt that was something that I was good at and that I really enjoyed, and I thought I might make some kind of a positive impression on young people, and so that's why I got involved with Coal Valley. It's been, I can't remember how long it's been now since I've been there, or even when I started for that matter. But it was a strange environment right from the get-go. I told somebody I have seen the worst of Christianity now that I've worked at that school.
Did you feel that way during or mostly just after?
During.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely during. I should say, when Taylor got old enough to go to school, that's my son, for anybody who doesn't know, I was perfectly content with public school. I was raised in public schools. I had no problem with public schools. I thought you could get a good education if that's what you wanted. My wife was the one who was more inclined toward a Christian school. I was not. I went along because I said, yeah, sure, what harm can it be? So we put him in there. I think K through 6 is pretty tame for the most part. They really don't start pounding on the kids until they go into 7th grade, and that's when the hardcore stuff really begins. They're much gentler in the elementary grades.
What do you mean by the hardcore stuff?
Really pushing the whole Christian worldview, pushing the kids to buy only their version or vision of the world. The constant, I would describe it. It's a weird thing because I know it's a Christian school, but there are aspects of this world that require a worldview beyond Christianity, I think. And they pretty much were like, this view, the worldview is Christian and that's it. We are the right people. In fact, that's one of the things that I found most annoying. And of course, they're an offshoot of Cole Community Church. So they get a lot of their material from that church. But just the attitude that this little evangelical school and church, they are it. They are the religion. They know the answers. They know the truth. And there's no room for anybody else. I told my wife I was amazed at the amount of bashing of other religions that used to go on in that school. Absolutely amazing. I, since leaving there, and I got to admit, I was caught up in the hype sometimes. I played the part to a degree, I guess. But since leaving there, I want nothing to do with organized religion. I still believe in a God, and I still believe in Jesus. But over the years and sitting down and looking at all this nonsense that they push, I just don't buy it. I just don't, and I would not. I have no interest in going to a church at all. Mm-hmm. I can't handle the dogma. It's all so much baloney. It comes from nowhere. Half of it they just make it up, or they find some word in the Bible or some little verse, and then they fixate on it. I just have no interest whatsoever.
So it sounds like you put it mildly, Coal Valley kind of turned you off from organized religion, but
yeah.
Where were you at regarding that before Coal Valley? Because I would have, knowing your personality, I would have guessed you wouldn't have been a fan of it
Excuse me. I was going to cold church, and I was a middle of the road Christian, I guess you'd say. I really, we wanted Taylor to have some church background, both my wife and I. So we had him going to Cole, and then when you guys went, was it sixth grade? You went into youth group with Mark Farmer. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's when we could start doing like the junior high stuff.
Yeah. When I walked in there in that youth group, I really felt at home for some reason, and I really liked Mark Farmer, so that kind of pulled me in tighter, not so much to Cold Church, but to that youth group. I liked working with the youth, and prior to that, I guess you'd call me a lukewarm Christian.
That's the kind of negative phrasing they would use for normal people there.
Yes. The other thing I got to point out, which drove me crazy, was their bashing of public schools.
Mm.
Like I watched the interview with Fred, poor guy. Beat him up a little bit there, buddy. But
I wanted him to admit that he thinks I'm going to hell. He wanted to sugarcoat it, but he believes it.
Well, I don't think you are.
Thanks.
But where was I going with that now? Don't get old, man. I tell you, it is the most annoying thing. Every so often.
Oh, public schools.
Okay, public schools. You pointed out to your dad that at least 50% of the kids in a public school are Christians, not to mention how much of the faculty probably is. And it's like they're not the right Christians. They're not the good Christians.
Right.
And it was like, this is nonsense. I mean, I've known plenty of kids, even in Boise, that went to, especially Capital. They got great educations. They came out of there. They went to prestigious schools. They've done extremely well. There's clunkers in everything. There's clunkers in Coal Valley, just like there's clunkers in a public school. It's no different. It's one of the things that my wife and I talk a lot. And one of the things I said or have said, we're human beings, and all of us, and we are flawed, in my opinion, because we cause all the bad stuff that happens on this planet. We are responsible for it. And that's not very encouraging for being made in the likeness of God. So anyway, but the bashing of the public schools, I found that crazy, absolutely crazy. In fact, when you guys hit ninth grade, I wanted Taylor to go to Capital.
Really?
Yeah, and he said he was going to stick it out at Coal Valley. I think it was because of the friends he had there, the good friends, and he was comfortable there. And I mean, I give him credit for sticking. And I had no idea until I read his statement what he was going through, and what I've read in some of the other statements about
this statement from recently.
Yeah,
he never really told you, in that kind of detail what it was like.
No, he never discussed it at all. Never.
For anybody that doesn't know, Taylor's gay, and he's openly gay, and I'm not outing him. But his perspective has been super valuable in kind of enlightening what it's like to be an LGBT person in Coal Valley and what that does to kind of your psyche. So yeah, he had he really painted a picture in a comment he made when this whole thing was going on. And so you said you read that and that what you never knew. So that must have brought a lot of emotion for you.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
It almost makes me want to tear up. It does make me want to tear up. Parents, part of our job is to protect our children. And I will, till the day I die, regret having put him in that school. I put him in a situation that, as far as I'm concerned, the best word is toxic. It was a toxic environment. Obviously, when he was in kindergarten, I didn't have any idea he was going to be gay. But I put him in that situation. I failed to protect my son. And he's told me, don't worry about it, Dad. It's okay. I'm fine. But I can't forgive myself that easily.
And actually, I think what would maybe be really helpful for anybody that didn't see that post, can you, in your own, the way you remember what he said, like kind of fill us in, like, some of the things that stuck out about what he said or how you remember it, just for color for everybody that's watching this that doesn't know.
Gosh, I read that a couple of weeks ago, Cameron. I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
Well, maybe just whatever you remember about it.
I'll tell you what I do remember is some of the other statements of kids talking. Number one, saying, "Oh yeah, we all knew this guy was gay in our class," and here's the teacher up there making fun of gays. And the one that killed me was the history of the term faggot. Now that's a very important thing for everyone to know. But the pathetic caricatures of gays, the ridiculous stereotypes that some of those teachers were evidently showing you guys.
And in chapel. I don't know if you ever remember that.
I don't.
Oh my God. One of the teachers had a alter ego is the best way to describe it. Where he called himself Missy K, and he put on a wig and like fake boobs and even one chapel he got all dolled up with makeup, and he pranced around flapping his hands, just mocking gay people in front of the entire chapel, all the staff, faculty and staff. Everyone was laughing uproariously. And that is now burned into my memory. And I don't have a great memory either, actually. We should get Zach Evans back on here because he remembers everything. But at the time I was like, they're right. This is, maybe it's not very nice, but like, these people are sinning. This is a bad way to be. They shouldn't be like this. They don't really deserve respect. That's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't an issue to me. And, it was extreme. This teacher was all like, everybody knew he was extreme. Everybody would be like, oh, it's that teacher. Yeah. Yeah. But like, if you let teachers act like that, you're sending a message. This is A-okay. And, it's on the end, maybe it's on one end of the spectrum, but now this is the like, okay spectrum. Like, so it's like that. I remember that. And actually Missy K was almost like a weekly occurrence.
Mm. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what Taylor said, but just having to sit there and listen to this crap and his knowing who he is, it broke my heart. I'm not kidding you. It broke my heart. I was never, for the most part, never in the classrooms when I was working there. So I didn't know about all this nonsense. And like I said, Taylor never brought it home. But
because he probably, it was you and Connie weren't always as supportive as you are now, right? Like, was there Do you think he felt like he needed to pretend he wasn't gay, or that it like he's working on it, or like maybe he didn't bring it up because it wasn't fully a safe topic even at home?
Well, that's a tough one, Cameron. Um, the, um, he he never said anything about it, and we.
You don't have to. By the way, I don't want to.
No,
If you don't want
it's
to
good.
answer, no pressure.
No, it's okay. People need to hear this stuff. Um, both of us, at one point, Connie was the one who was really freaking out over it. Me, not quite so much. I was kind of like, okay. But I think when I really started to change was we had gotten the name of one of these Christian psychologists that supposedly could do conversion therapy. And for some odd reason, I always seemed to be the guy that was always taking Taylor to this kind of stuff. Connie seemed to be out of town or something. I took him to this guy, and Taylor came out, and he said, "Dad, I will never go back there again." And I thought, that very second, I knew that was a horrible, horrible thing to do to him. I didn't know he was gay. Suspicions, yes.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah. But regardless, again, I'm supposed to be protecting this guy, and this is what I do to him. And, he didn't actually tell us outright. In fact, like Connie called Taylor to ask him if he was.
Oh, and when was this? After Cole? During Cole?
After Cole, when he went to college. And so I have to call him up and say, "Taylor, just tell me the truth. Are you gay?" And he goes, "Yes." And I go, "Okay, good." I mean,
Cool.
What else am I going to say? Yeah. I love the little bugger to death.
Exactly, yeah.
And so, from that moment on, I was good with it. I think it took Connie a ways longer to come around.
But she has. I mean,
yes.
It's very clear she loves Taylor to death, and she doesn't think there's anything wrong with him being him, loving who he loves, and fully supportive.
Yep, I agree. But, I'll never, ever forget that psychologist and that nonsense.
It was pray the gay away, right? Was basically the strategy. Yep. Or was this like shock? Like, I don't even know how they do it. Like,
I don't know. I wasn't in there, and Taylor didn't talk about it.
I sure hope it's not like shock therapy or some of crazy stuff that I read about from history. But
no, not that bad. I think the pray it away and lead you to understand that this is wrong and that you're confused. And it reminds me of something Fred said yesterday, or in his thing. And I think you said what I'm going to say. Nobody chooses the gay lifestyle. Who would do that? It's
especially in Coal Valley.
Oh yeah, especially. I mean, I know one thing Taylor said in his story. He spent hours praying to not feel the way he feels. What a lousy way to live. I wish the people that were murderers would spend as much time praying they weren't killing people. Here's this little guy who's being pounded every day that he is evil. He is sin because he happens to feel a certain way. And so he spends a lot of his time praying to God to not be the way God created him. Now, how's that for strange?
Right.
it's just awful, absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's the story of Taylor and Taylor and I.
Yeah. Thanks for telling it. I don't think you and I have ever talked about that.
We have not that I know of.
Yeah. Wow. So how did it all end? You said you got fired at Coal Valley.
They waited till Taylor was out of school. I annoyed them long before that, but they decided that because Taylor was there, at least this is what Carr told me. I don't mind dropping his name. The guy's an ass. They waited till the year after Taylor had gone, after he was gone for a year. Then they pulled me in as soon as school was out. They waited till school was out so nobody would know, and then let me go.
So that there wouldn't be an uproar and the kids.
That's right. So there wouldn't be any.
Because you were always popular.
Well, sort of like
Admit it, Dave. You were popular. You were a popular kid.
Yeah, I am a kid, believe me. Yeah, that's what they did. They called me in with, what was that other clown that hung around with Carr? Beglinger, is that his name?
Coach B?
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe you're thinking of Matt Beglinger.
Yeah, I always called him Carr's lapdog. And the two of them sit there with this stoic little look, and they're going to allow me to pursue something else or some nonsense. I don't remember exactly. That's what it was.
So they didn't just tell you we're firing you. They tried to.
No. And they gave me a week's pay.
Oh, generous.
And then I had a lot of my personal tools in the school to do some of the stuff I used to
shop
do.
And everything.
And then Beglinger came up to me while I was loading my vehicle and said, well, those aren't any of those are Coal Valley's tools, are they? So I was very impressed with that. So anyway, that was it. I was to get out as soon as I could get out. That was what they told me. So that's what I did.
Wow. Have you heard from any of them or seen them or anything since then?
No. I have no interest in anybody there. I keep in touch with Robin Diedrichson and Claudia Sutherland. They were two of my better friends, especially Robin. She was my
Robin was the front desk, and
yes.
The Sutherland, Claudia Sutherland was the choir teacher.
Yes, and Robin was my escape valve. When I would be seeing things in that school that I thought were insane, I would have to drag her out of the office and go in the auditorium and think, "You can't believe what's going on!" I'd be ranting and raving.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you?
And I also.
Finish your thought. I'll remember.
Oh yeah. Another thing is, see, I wouldn't.
I might not, but we'll see.
The senior prank that some of the kids have talked about in their stories. I had nothing to do with it. But
will you describe that real quick?
Oh yeah, they came in after school, took all the chairs and desks out of all the classrooms and put them in the auditorium, and they put little drink cups of water up the stairs in one of the stairways. I can't remember. There's something else they did, but those filled like a bathroom with balloons or something. And they had approached me about it. What did I think? I said, they're not real keen on that stuff here. In fact, it amazes me how anti-senior prank that school was.
Because we had an issue too. We did something super tame and they flipped out about it, but it sounds like from the stories, the next year was like it almost tamer than what we did maybe, and then like times 5 the reaction.
Oh, their reaction was obscene. Absolutely obscene. What was
the reaction? Because I wasn't there for this.
Oh, that's right. They were the teacher that you were talking about entertaining on stage was livid. He was enraged that they would do this to his classroom. Uh, the the administration was going insane. They called the police. I can't remember everything that happened, but I
Called
mean
the
they were,
police?
yeah,
Oh, I think I remember that from the story now, but
yeah, they called the police. They rounded up, as I remember, they rounded up all the kids, put them in the auditorium, told them they were going to hold their degrees or their certificates. They were going to prevent them from going to, I don't know how they could prevent them from going to college, whatever. But anyway, they came down on those kids. I mean, you'd have thought those kids had burned the place to the ground. All it was a harmless senior prank. It could have been, they all could have laughed about it, and in 10 minutes it would have all been gone. And instead, they turned it into a major catastrophe. And it was, I mean, the kids were crying. The parents were coming to the school. I mean, it was nuts, absolutely nuts.
and yeah,
I think that played a part in my demise as well, because somebody had told them, I knew about it, or I told them, I don't remember now. I knew it was going to happen.
and why do you think this was such a big deal for them? Do you like? It seems like, it doesn't justify this reaction at all. So like, there's got to be more to it, right? I can only imagine that it's like I've called in my blog post and some other message or comments that Coal Valley was totalitarian.
Mm-hmm.
So any kind of thing that kind of symbolized rebellion or individuality was kind of just like not okay. So it's almost like this prank was just a symbol for like fall in line, the Christian, and it's like a smaller symbol of their whole thing, which is like, you have to be this way as a person, as a worldview, as a religion, and there's no deviating from that. So like, this is like, if you give an inch, you give a mile, or something like that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, let them have this, and what are they going to want next?
Yeah.
It's definitely true. They had a very rigid template of how that school should be and how the students should be, and you did not deviate from that template. And they were vehement about that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they were. Nothing. I want to share with you another thing while I think about it.
Yeah.
When I was there, because they knew I had a good relationship with the kids, they called me into a meeting after school was out one year. I think you guys were actually still there then.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to discuss, and this was, let me think about this. This was after Carr got in as the boss. They wanted to discuss students that they might not want to have back at the school because they just weren't the right fit for Coal Valley. And I was sitting in there, and I don't remember who else was in there but him. And what makes me laugh is they were discussing these kids, and as far as I remember, they were all boys. That they just weren't Coal Valley material, and should we just tell them not to come back? And I told them we should bring them all back. But one of them I ran into at BSU that last year before we left, when I was finishing up, and he was working there at the Starbucks and doing great at BSU, and he was taking pre-med. I don't know if he ended up being a doctor or not, but I will say that his mom had posted some comments. It took me a long time to place that name, but I thought he was a great, not everybody hears the same drum beat. And so his was a little different. But he was a great kid, and he was smart, and he was pleasant. In fact, I heard, I know it, I think it was at Chelsea's wedding, I was talking to somebody. This boy asked a girl out, and the girl, I can't remember. They were, gosh darn, I tell you, man, this aging's not fun.
This is ancient history.
This is. But the point of the thing is the boy was known as a kind of a free spirit. I guess that's a good way to put it. So the girl had to ask her parents if they thought it was all right if she went, and it wasn't. I mean, it was no big deal. It was like a movie or something. If she could go out with this particular boy, because he was a little odd or something like that. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was talking to the girl. I said, "Do you know what he's doing now?"
Right.
I mean, I was like, "Holy Christmas!" And that was one of the things that just. And I don't know that they did that, or if they did it, they didn't ask me, obviously, to do it again. And
so what were these kids? So these kids weren't bad kids. It was just like, what was their behavior that was, so unacceptable to them?
Oh gosh, I don't know how to describe it, Cam.
Or it was just like that. They weren't all inside the box in every category.
That's right. They just, when everybody else starts out left, right, they started out right, left. Or they just wouldn't fit into that mold, the perfect Christian kid. And that annoyed them because they wanted every kid at that school to be you.
Yeah. Ugh.
And I mean, their dream school would be. I don't know how many kids are there. 300 U's. And if you weren't,
that'd be so boring.
It sure as heck would be. In fact, it'd be downright irritating. But
you definitely couldn't work there.
No, but that was what they hoped they would end up with, and hiring me of all people to work in that environment, it must have been nuts.
Well, it's to that point. This was the thing I was going to bring up earlier. Is you had Robin and Claudia as kind of kindred spirits. You at least had each other. You could back each other up. But it sounds like you felt like kind of a minority in the school staff or faculty. And how were you? I mean, I'm gathering you weren't treated well in general. Was that more than just the top management, or like what was it like? Because we've heard stories in the sport group. We have past teachers, staff, and we're hearing stories about all kinds of crap that like the students had no idea about. But like, so what was it like, within your coworkers and everything?
As far as the administration people goes, very uncomfortable for me all the time.
Teachers too?
The teaching staff, no, not so much. I pretty much got along with all the teaching staff, and the ones that I didn't care for, I just didn't talk to speak of.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I got along with all the staff okay.
So when you and Robin and Claudia would kind of be like, you won't believe what happened, like, you have, it seems like in any group, there'll be the people that are like, you won't imagine what happened to, there's always somebody that's like in office politics or I don't know, whatever, the classroom, you'll have your people that, they see things like kind of the way you do, and you'll, be like, so get this and have some water cooler talk. But
Yep.
like, did you ever get the sense that more of the staff kind of had these views than like let on? Because sometimes people say something outside the spotlight that isn't their persona.
No. There were some teachers, I think, that probably a few teachers that probably felt that way, but they stayed pretty much quiet. Um, but not many. Um, well, as you noticed, every year there'd be teachers gone, and they were gone because their contracts weren't renewed or they were asked to leave because they didn't fit the
The mold.
the little mold that they had for their teaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
So you would see that attrition every year. Somebody go and they'd try and find somebody that more fit the mold, and so I don't know. Other than the three of us, nah, probably not many. I think those one or two, maybe others that probably
You
thought
that maybe, but maybe, yeah.
yeah, but wouldn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah.
way outspoken, too outspoken, probably for my own good.
Yeah. Huh. So I've got my normal two questions that I want to ask you, but I want to ask now, is there something you wanted to bring up we haven't talked about yet?
Nope.
Okay. So the first one of the two is what's the message that you'd like the administration to hear? If you could deliver a message to them, and if they're watching this video, what you want them to know or hear or take away from it. And the second one is for prospective parents that are thinking about putting their kid or kids in Coal Valley. What do you want them to know, hear, or think about?
If I were going to speak to the administration, I have to be careful here what I say.
Why?
I don't even know who's there. Is there anybody there that was there when I was there? I don't even know. I went on their website. There's no information.
So Brad Carr left like a year ago, and now there's a new superintendent. I don't remember his name. Kim DeMaine is the principal of the high school. Matt Beglinger, I believe, is the vice principal.
Jeez.
Sorry. And that is really all I know. But okay. I know there's a few teachers that are, from my time, but I think there's new ones too.
Okay. I think they need to take a hard look at what they're doing there and what they're doing to kids in the name of Christ. And they need to decide just how happy Jesus would be with the way they treat children. And would he like them to force all these kids into a rigid mold of this is the way you're going to be? I don't think he would. That would be my thought.
Mm-hmm.
If someone were to ask me, I would have to say, just exactly what do you think is the benefit of that school? As far as I'm concerned, the education is second degree education. You're not getting a first class education there. I mean, when I think of the qualifications for public school teachers and how educated they have to be and how they have to teach subjects that they majored in, I would have to ask the parent, what do you think your kid's going to get? If you want a Christian upbringing, take them to church on Sunday, talk about Christianity all week at home, and then send them to a school where they're going to get a good education.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the bottom line. That's what you're there for, is the education. Because when you go for a job interview, it's unlikely anyone's going to ask you if you believe in Christ or not.
That's a red flag. And that might be illegal, actually.
It probably is. Yeah, you can't discriminate on religion.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to people. What's the goal? Are you trying to educate your child and give them the best education possible? Put them in a public school, or maybe BK. I know BK is a good school. Um,
What about, you watched Fred's interview. Fred basically said, I wanted you to not screw up in a major way before you graduated from high school. That's why I put you in Coal Valley. And I was like, so it was like, yes, I wanted you in a bubble, full stop. What do you think about, like, for those parents?
that's horse pucky.
Tell me more.
If you're going, if you're going to be a problem, you're going to be a problem no matter where you are. If you're going to make bad decisions, it won't make any difference whether you're in a Christian school or a public school. I mean, there's plenty of Christian. I mean, I don't know how many girls have gotten pregnant at that school. That's just, and I don't consider that a major issue, but except that it's a mess up for your life. But,
Well, and they don't teach sex education that has, besides abstinence. So.
Yeah, I know. It's a real useless thing. But I don't see, excuse me, I don't see that. You go to a public school, if you have a propensity to be a problem, you're going to be a problem no matter where you are. The difference will be if you go to Coal Valley, eventually they'll get you to leave because they don't want to deal with you. The public school has almost no option. But yeah, when I heard Fred say that, I was like, oh, jeez. I mean, if you want to be you can't blame. I mean, I don't know anything about your dad's life. I mean, but if he was, let's say, a delinquent, he would have been a delinquent no matter where he went. And you can't blame the school for that. It's not like they teach that. And people that want to cause problems will find other people that want to cause problems because people tend to be with like-minded people, whether it's at Coal Valley or anywhere.
Yeah.
If that's their thing, that they'll find their appropriate friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't help but smiling hearing you, hearing your response, because it's bringing me back to all the, to our long and storied history of Dave and Fred disagreeing about things. Typically, I'll be at one house and hear one thing, and they'll be at the other house and hear another thing. And I almost can't bring up Fred's name without Dave going, "Oh my God!"
Oh gosh! I can well imagine. Oh man!
The jokes, you guys had a joking thing, all like Fred's hat. What, you remember Fred's hat back in the day?
I have told people one person that can always make me laugh is your father. Always. I don't know what it is. He just makes me laugh. And that's a good laughing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't be further apart if we wanted to be.
He laughs. Yeah, no, I would always come home from your house because you were 3 blocks away. Yep. I would scooter there, and then I'd come back and I'd say, Dave was laughing about your hat, and he would just get a big smile on his face. So.
Yep, he's a good man.
Yep, he is. Okay. Well, Dave, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for sharing all that stuff. It's
sure.
It means a lot to me, and I think a lot of people that watch this, they'll get a lot out of it. It's an important perspective.
Well, I hope so. It felt good for me to be able to vocalize some of this stuff. I mean, I certainly, like I said, I got a lot. I'd have to sit down and really think. I got a lot of stories about that place and the way I was treated and stuff. Some things that I saw that I just did not agree with. But
yeah. Well, if there's any other stories, tomorrow, if you're like, oh, I wish I could have told this story, let me know. We can do a follow-up.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, Dave. Thanks again.
Cam, thanks a whole lot, and this is a great project, and I wish you well with this whole thing.
Thanks. Yeah,
hey,
we're all in it together. What?
You got married.
Yeah, I got married last summer.
Seems to me, one last thing, seems to me at Chelsea's wedding, I asked you about that, and
what did I say?
You said something like, why?
Yeah, that's kind of how That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. If you two guys are as happy as Gilbert and I am, I am very, very happy for you.
We're very happy.
Excellent.
Yep.
And then you got that dumb dog too.
Yep. Wookie, our fur baby.
Okay, buddy.
All right. Talk to you later, Dave.
Thanks, Cam.
Yep. See ya. Bye.